Get your Amazon Prime free trial started today. We at Cigars and Sea Stories love Amazon Prime. We use it all the time. I myself, Mike Penny, am a member of Amazon Prime. I use it for live streaming on music, video, things of that nature. Sign up for a free Amazon trial, 30-day trial right now. You can find it on the resources page over at cigarsandseastories.com/resources. Take a look at that ASAP. Folks, if you haven't already done so, check out Audible. You can get your latest podcast. You can get the best in audiobooks. And if you're like me, you're always on the road. You're traveling around, in and out of airports, stuff like that. Always got the earbuds in. Check out Audible. You can get a free trial today when you go to audibletrial.com/cigarsandSea. That's audibletrial.com/cigarsandSea. Check it out. Due to the graphic nature of its content, listener discretion is advised.
From the halls of Montezuma to the shores of Tripoli, we fight our country's battles in the air, on land and sea. First to fight for...
On this episode of Cigars and Sea Stories, Mike and Jocelyn sit down with Byron Chen, host of Success Vets podcast and fellow United States Marine, Yut. And you were, correct me if I'm wrong, you were a captain when you got out of the Corps?
That is correct.
Very cool. Well, hey, brother. We're happy to have you on the show. This is cool.
Well, Mike, Sebastian, thanks for having me. I'm really excited.
Yes, absolutely. So you're a captain. He was in the dark side, folks. I know.
Yes. Straight up, not a Mustang or anything.
I know, right? But you have a cool background. Where'd you go to school?
I went to the Naval Academy, so another eye roll there.
What'd you study?
Ocean engineering, and I have never used that degree.
I fucking knew you were going to say some oceanographic shit. Like, I had a platoon commander, he was like, Naval Academy graduate. What'd you study? Oceanography. I'm like, yeah? You enjoying 29 palms?
Yeah. People ask me all the time, like, oh, so what do you do with it now? I've never done anything with it. I mean, went into the Marine Corps, and then I went into medical device sales after I got out, and now I podcast and write. So it's serving me well.
Hell yes. Well, checking the box. Naval Academy? Yep, did that shit. Hell yeah. So do you root for Navy?
I do. And they're doing great this year. They're kicking ass.
Yeah, you're like gung-ho into it. That's awesome. I know a couple of...
I was going to say nowadays, I mean, at the time, we were forced to go to every home game, right? And then when you're an underclassman, it's one of your few opportunities to get off base. So we try to go to away games as well. And you get kind of tired of it, to be honest. But now that I'm out and I'm, a veteran, now I just want to hang out with all the old guys and tell, sea stories and whatnot. So those are the chance to get together and post on Facebook like, go Navy, woohoo.
Hell yes.
But honestly, no, not really. I mean, the triple option is kind of boring to watch.
Right.
It's just running. They're just constantly. What Navy's going to do. Anyway, we're getting off track. What are we talking about?
No, man, that's fantastic. I tell you what, every once in a while I bump into a West Pointer and I just kind of like nudge him in the ribs with "Go Navy."
Yeah.
They're like, what?
Yeah.
Fuck you. It's just, you know what I mean? Like, who else am I going to root for? They're my alma mater, kind of, I guess, whatever. It's funny because I went out, did the college thing. Well, Jocelyn, he's got 2 degrees. This guy's wicked fancy. But I went out and did the whole college thing and stuff like that, and I was like, you know what? I really miss how fucked up grunts are. And it was so difficult. Like, what was your MOS?
I was an MP, 5803.
Were you on the field side or were you in the car?
I was on the field side. I never did the law enforcement side.
Nice. See, you didn't know in 03 knew about field side MPs, did you?
Yeah, I'm impressed. You
like that. It's because I was a police advisor.
Oh, yeah? Okay.
So.
Way to take jobs from my Marines.
Hey, man. Dude, it was awesome rocking with the MPs because, how many we have? 6, I want to say.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
They were good dudes?
Hell yes, they're awesome dudes.
Well, I want to say real quick, I by no means was any sort of a badass. It definitely was not, but definitely trained a lot of guys who went out and did great things, and I think very badass things. And so when you talk to MPs, especially guys who are on the field side, they'll definitely get defensive about it because, it sounds like, oh, you were a gate guard or you wrote up tickets. And a lot of guys did not do that. They did some good shit. So I want to definitely shout out to my guys out there that did those things because they are, they joined up to do cool shit, and a lot of them did get to do cool shit. So wanted to definitely make that distinction. I did not. I mean, I was in the back office signing papers, but.
Well, right. I mean, if everybody had unlimited years to spend in the Corps, I mean, they would probably end up doing the rounds because there's a bunch of different cool shit to do everywhere. I mean, it's not just the infantry that's badass. It's the entire Marine Corps. No matter, we just make whatever we're doing badass. Like S-Shop, fuck it, we're going to be a badass S-Shop. I mean, in that regard, I hear you. It's universal.
Yep. No, you're exactly right. And it's funny, too, because, so being a police advisor, we were working with the MPs, and we went through SOTG down there in Del Mar. And so, you learn how to, which I was already an instructor as a combat marksmanship trainer, but you learn how to train the trainer and how to work with a counterpart and all of these different things. Well, to prac app that, what we did is trained H&S Company when we went out to the field. And look, a lot of those guys, they were good. Mm-hmm. They knew what they were doing. We had this gunny who would when he was buddy rushing, he would baseball slide into pieces of micro terrain and just shred his fucking camis on those god awful lava rocks out in 2-9. And just, oh God, he was bloody up one side and down the other. I'm like, Jesus, guns, what the hell happened? It's buddy rush range.
That's awesome.
He's getting some.
No, but I mean, I definitely feel the same way about all Marines. My deployment, we stood up a security company, so we took about a platoon of MPs and then a mixed bag of, cooks, bakers, candlestick makers, and they got after it. I mean, there were guys that got on the radio, learned all the weapons, the tactics, and a few of them actually switched MOSs later on. But I mean, really, for any Marine, learning to shoot, move, and communicate. Mm-hmm. And I think that's a distinction in the Marine Corps is that everybody goes through boot camp and they are, ready to go and ready to be fit into some sort of role where they're just getting after it.
Right.
And I don't know if you could say that for all the services at any I mean, granted, the Marine Corps obviously has its dunces and people we can't make into warriors, but I mean, it's definitely a warrior tradition, and that's really what I'm proud to be a part of, especially now that I'm out.
Hell yeah!
No, that's very cool. Hey, so I gotta ask, being straight up officer side of things.
Oh, jeez.
Right. Because I used to work at Weapons Training Battalion, right? Okay. We talked a little bit about this. So I was a CMT over there. I believe that I was a CMT over there after you had gone through TBS.
Yeah.
But it's always interesting in hearing the officer's side of things, right, on OCS and TBS. So, correct me if I'm wrong, all right? But on the TBS side of things, it's 9 months, right? Or am I way off?
Is it? Shit, it's been a while now. No, it's
or is it 6?
6. I think 6. I ended up sticking around 9 months because I forget why. I think I didn't have a follow-on duty station immediately, but it's 6.
Right. Okay. So now it's unique. This is why I bring it up. It's unique how officers train in the sense that every officer, for the most part, gets a taste of a lot of the different potential MOSs that are out there. Correct?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, it's like a crash course in everything in the Marine Corps. So, I mean, beyond just weapons and orders, you also get, rifle platoon training or leading a rifle platoon, but then also, how all the different MOSs work together. So you definitely get talks from logistics guys, supply, artillery. You learn a little bit about that, and you might even do a little bit within that MOS. to round out your knowledge. Because I mean, as an officer, I think you're expected to be able to work with all those agencies eventually.
Right. Okay. Well,
so as you're getting up and you are in fact working with those other guys, is there a lot of dick measuring that goes on?
Like at TBS or after?
No, afterwards, as you're out and about trying to make the rounds.
Out and about, I don't think so, because it's kind of I mean, everybody needs something from somebody else, right? Like at some point, I'm going to need gear, or I'm going to need bullets, or I'm going to need training from somebody if I'm trying to round out the training that my Marines have. So when you get together, no. But I think within closed doors, when you're with your own MOS, you're like, yeah, these fucking guys. But outside, I think it's all the same team.
Right.
Well, I only ask because it seems to be a way different thing among officers in other branches. I think we have a lot more cooperative and atmosphere overall as far as working together because we're so small, and that's why that's facilitated. But I hear like nightmare stories from officers in other branches just about pure just dick measuring, where they just can't they can't even work together in the same battle space. Where
the dick measuring happens is not within amongst different MOSs. It's really within the different sections. And like when somebody all of a sudden gets some power, like that's when you have to worry. Like it doesn't matter what MOS the guy is, but if all of a sudden the 4 alpha or the 3 alpha is a guy that you're having issues with, that's when it's really hard to get along. So it's more personality based than MOS based. And another reason I think that happens is because at TBS you don't get your MOS based on rank, right? Like if you're the top of the class, you don't necessarily get exactly what you want. Marine Corps has a quality spread. They split the group into thirds and different thirds. So if you're the top of the bottom third, you're more likely to get your top choice MOS than if you're the bottom of the top third. So even though one guy outranks the other, you still might not get your preference. So really what that does is, some guy might have wanted to do something like infantry, but he got logistics. So from the very beginning, it could be kind of a crapshoot, right? Like you're not necessarily this MOS because you chose it or wanted it. You're doing the best job because that's your job as an officer. So I think there's a general respect there as well that, you went into it because you wanted to serve as an officer. That's whatever MOS you did or whatever MOS you got. It doesn't really matter. Like you're here to work for your Marines, serve your country. So, everybody's should understand that they're on the same page of that. You might have got shafted at TBS, but afterwards it kind of builds that camaraderie that you're here to help each other.
Very cool. No, that's well said, because it's very interesting from the sergeant perspective, being a weapons training battalion, coming over and teaching you guys, in the auditoriums over there in Banyan, and you're like, it's cool, man. It's cool. It's a different atmosphere. It's something that a lot of times on the enlisted side you're not really exposed to. And at the same... What's that?
Oh, sorry. Keep going.
Well, and at the same time, you kind of think to yourself, you're like, fuck, man, there's 300 officers up here. So if each one of them become a platoon commander, you're talking about roughly 40 enlisted. So, I mean, like, don't show your ass.
Yeah. And, well, I'm wondering, from your perspective, going to Weapons Training Battalion as an NCO, what did you think of officers beforehand and then after?
Oh, that's a good question. So I was in weapons company in the fleet, which the reason why I say that is because usually officers prove themselves in the line company and then come over to weapons company.
Because you guys have more equipment, more technical weapons
you fuck more shit up. And that's basically what it boils down to. So I had a Mustang for a first platoon commander, which set a very high bar. I had a really good company commander and the like, and I thought that we had a good, our second platoon commander was good as well.
Yeah.
He was an academy
We actually
grad.
had, all around, we had solid officers.
So I had a
good
yeah, I had a really good perception, especially coming out of the 3-7 weapons company. I had a really good, a high standard. But I also knew that I was going to get, frankly, a bunch of kids coming out of OCS who were chosen based on leadership and things of this nature, characteristics and the like. And again, something I'd never been through, don't get me wrong. But in TBS, it's kind of like that proving ground.
Right.
And it's funny coming over to that side. It's like you knew that you were going to encounter officers in training. I didn't know if I was supposed to salute everybody I freaking saw. They're like, "Nah, man, you're good. They're
okay.
in training. You're gonna be fine." I'm like, all right. They're like, over on main side, yeah. Oh, and when you wear your campaign cover, people are going to run and hide. Which is true. By the way, enlisted or officer alike, they cross the street just based on a campaign cover. Don't know if it's the DI thing, probably. So my perception, the bar was very high, and then when I got there, I knew that we were going to be in training status. A lot of the folks that I dealt with were very astute and knew exactly what was going on. And just like in any other training scenario, a lot of them scared the ever-living shit out of me, but I wouldn't let them know it.
Yeah.
So
goes both ways. Yeah.
Right, exactly. So, yeah. So.
Well, I think one of the things that the Marine Corps does extremely well with its officers is really teach them to honor, respect, and just fucking love their enlisted or working with the enlisted. Because as an MP officer, I went to an Army training school. Because the Marine Corps doesn't have its own 5803 schoolhouse. And so I worked with the Army guys there, and I definitely didn't always see the support that, with the enlisted senior staff NCOs helping to train the young lieutenants over there, and vice versa. I think not it wasn't that way across the board, but I felt that was a little bit more uneven compared to the Marine Corps, where from the very beginning, especially at TBS, it's kind of hammered into you. You need to talk to your staff NCO, your platoon sergeant, and sure, you should make an educated decision on the advice that he's giving you. But if you're not sure, just fucking listen to him.
Right.
And I don't know if you noticed that at TBS, but I'm sure, I don't know, maybe it was weird, but I'm sure the officers were probably just tripping over themselves trying to, making sure that they put on a good front. And I don't mean that in a bad way, but trying to make sure that they were doing right, especially in front of you guys, because you guys were probably you were probably their first encounter with the enlisted side after OCS.
Yeah, no, it was unique in the sense that, and they tell you this as a CMT, but it's unique in the sense that, yes, you're the first NCOs that they are going to have less. It's still formal, but more of a relaxed training environment. You're not getting screamed at all the time, stuff like that. During hip pocket classes and stuff, you can just kind of chill out, take a knee, answer a few different baseline questions on the fleet and stuff, which you get a lot of really kick-ass questions, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
But it's unique too, because it's not a bad thing. There's just that this is enlisted, that is officer side of things, that comes out of operating within that environment. Okay, all the officer folks are going to go over there. It's weird from an enlisted side to see an entire platoon full of officers. You know what I mean? That's really strange. They're like, holy shit, there's
it's they don't know what to do with themselves.
Right, exactly. Well, and they're all butter bars. So unless, of course, you get an LDO who's coming through, or which happened a few times, or you got senior enlisted who somehow were first lieutenants when they were going through. But aside from that, the vast majority of you folks are butter bars when you're coming through, and you're just whoo, those booty loos. Oh man.
Actually, I'm really curious now, because I'm sure you got this question. What advice did you give some of those lieutenants when they asked, what should I do when I get to the fleet? Or what shouldn't an officer do when he gets to the fleet?
So I always had to preface any advice that I was 03 and I could give an infantryman's perspective. So basically that was trying to say ladies, I don't mean any offense, but I never worked with you. But yeah, so I always had to preface the advice And then my biggest thing was you're going to be able to see the NCOs specifically who are probably about your age and now have a little bit of experience, maybe 2 deployments under their belt. Those guys know what they're talking about. Those guys really know what they're talking about. And I only say that not because, hey, that was me as an instructor and stuff, but because look, listen, and feel to what those guys are doing, and you're going to have a better tempo for what the platoon is doing overall, because they're the ones who are operating it. Hello. You know what I mean? So
yeah.
So if Brad is a good guy and a kick-ass section leader the way that mine was, then you're going to be fine. Actually, no, he was my first VC. But, that was always my biggest piece of advice is look, listen, and feel when you first get on deck. Check out your squad.
I love it, man.
Stuff
It's great.
Like
that brings me back.
Yeah.
I'd be like scribbling in my little platoon commander's notebook with the "right in the rain," kind of shit. And
oh, dude.
I still have those notebooks, and I remember looking through it recently and looking at some of the notes that I had taken. I was like, oh man, I'm so young, so so fresh faced.
And see, like, we haven't even gone down the path of like how it would fuck with you guys, also. You know what I mean? Like,
I was gonna ask, like, you pretty much are seen as godlike, maybe for a short time period, during that summer. You might as well take advantage.
Well, and it's, I wouldn't go so far to say godlike, but you definitely
awe-inspiring NCO power.
Well, you can tell them that the grass is purple and the sky is red, and they will 100% believe you.
Oh, yeah.
So when you're digging 9 mils out of railroad ties, telling lieutenants that you're catching ricochets and stuff, they'll believe you. Like, shockingly. Or, fuck. I don't know if I ever did it to a lieutenant, but I definitely did it on a recoil pistol. I probably did do it to, like, a prior enlisted or something. But you do the takedown pin on your 9 mil when you do, like, your inspection, right? And then you step back behind the white line. Fill 2 empty magazines, one with 15, one with 8. Tuck that empty magazine, right? So, I would do the takedown pin and then watch you send that slide off into the grass.
Thanks. That fortunately never happened to me, but I could definitely see that happen on the range.
Oh, yeah. Well, it's one of those things, too, to where if you break the tension or the ice, especially on qual day, people are less prone to fucking choke, man.
Yeah.
And it just legitimately boils down to that. If everybody... Like, I'm a joker anyhow. I mean, if you're way too over-the-top serious and stuff, you're just going to snap eventually. I mean, like, shooting guns is therapeutic, for Christ's sake. I mean, at least to me it is.
I tell people it's like yoga and meditation.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
Breathing,
yeah.
And
everything else disappears except for the front sight post.
And do you meditate? Like, I meditate occasionally. I don't do it
I've tried it, but I'm not a regular practitioner.
So, like, when you meditate or when you sit down and you just think or something like that, don't get into an actual shooting position, but whatever comfortable position you get into, remember your 4 fundamentals, right? Bone support, muscular tension relaxation, natural point of aim, and respiratory pause. Mm-hmm. And when you actually do that in a meditative state, you're holding your own frame up through a bone support, and then you're relaxing your body, and then you have a natural respiratory pause, so you're thinking, you're staying in the moment, right? And the natural point of aim is that focal point, when you close your eyes. I legitimately have done this before.
That's a good... You should write a book on this, like the Marine Infantry's view on meditation.
There you go.
Because people struggle with that. I was just about to ask, like, what sort of meditation that you do, because I know there's all sorts of types, but I sort of just sit there and relax and don't really have any sort of methodology to it. But I might try that next time. Bring myself back to the range and think of it that way.
Yeah, dude, I tell you what, a lot of people, the guys who you always see are the ones who are not snapping in. I mean, just flat out. And people are like, oh, wait, no, you're just a fucking range Nazi. You're a dork for it and stuff like that. And I'm like, no, man. It's not just you're conditioning your body. You are focusing on exactly what the target is going to look like in your rear sight aperture as you're hard focused on that front sight post, you are harnessing everything that you need in order to remain comfortable while gunfire is going off around you. And you've already done the snap-in, so your muscle memory's there. A lot of people forget that gunshots are going to be going off around them. Your body naturally startles when you hear a gunshot. It doesn't matter.
It's now that we're on this tangent, I'm trying to think that a lot of the things that people say to do to be successful in the civilian world can be associated with what you do on the range. Like, you have to visualize your shot, you have to call it, and then make adjustments. You have to let things go if it goes bad, right? Like, there's no, like, on range day, there's no excuse, right? Like, if the wind's blowing all the way across, it doesn't matter. Like, you've been given all the tools, so you visualize, call the shot, make adjustments, and then you go through, and then you do the things that you have to do every time with getting into the correct position, breathing, trigger squeeze, and all those things are just, you have to do. I mean, you could apply that to anything else you do in life, and you'd probably be decently successful.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm telling you, man, you need to write this book. Everything I learned to be successful in life, I learned on the range.
Well, and what I always tell people is everything that I ever need to know, I learned in the Marine Corps.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not exaggeration. Those guys taught me how to shave. I knew how to shave before I went in, but they taught me the proper way.
Yeah.
Oh, shit. Yeah, I mean, it legitimately is applicable. Yes, entirely. And a lot of the different things also that go into, like the game day mentality with qual day and all of that other stuff as far as scorecard, data book, minding your, all of the other additional things that go into ensuring that you have successfully checked that box and qualified annually. That it's another form of discipline that goes hand in hand with everything else that you're doing. So it's just multiple different layers of discipline and stuff. But it's cool. I tell you what, it's one of those things where it's a very unique skill set. It's a perishable skill. They're awesome tools. If applied correctly, they can do phenomenal things. So, yeah. But yeah, man. I don't know.
Hey, so from your deployments, from the officer side, let's hear some dirt on some funny shit you saw your fellow officers do.
Funny shit my officers did?
This is what Justin does. He sidewinds people.
Well, okay, because I want to get into the nitty-gritty here. Because there's a lot to be said behind closed doors that we don't see on the enlisted side, and I think all of our listeners that were enlisted would like to hear some dirt on the shenanigans that you guys do.
All right. So I'll have two stories then, because when I was preparing for this podcast, I was listening to some of your old ones, and I think I remember you asked another officer what was the funniest shit he saw his enlisted Marines do. So I actually prepped a story for that, but I've got another one for officers. Not deployment, but it was prepping for deployment. So first, one that I saw on deployment on the enlisted side, my Marines showed me a video of, the M4 bipods?
Yeah.
Where you press the button, they snap out?
Yes.
They had a video where they had one of the lance corporals or somebody on a couch, legs raised up. I don't know if this was a bet or something, but they took the M4 bipod up to their nuts, hit the button, and it smacked them. And you could just see them double over. That's probably one of the funniest things I've seen on deployment. Definitely was very entertaining.
What those bipods are good for.
Yeah.
Those things had quite a bit of spring tension, too.
They did.
Yeah.
The things that Marines do to their nuts in the Marine Corps.
Yeah.
That's just uncalled for.
In the name of science.
In the name of science.
It's what it is.
And then, so on the officer side, did you guys go to Mojave Viper for 29 Palms? Or 29 Palms?
Yep.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. We went to CAX and MCAX and RCAX and Mojave and Steel.
Yeah, when they used to call it CAX. They used to call it CAX, and then I think when I got around to it, they changed it to Mojave Viper. I don't know what it is now. But they had group showers.
Yeah.
And I remember the S3 officer used to come into the shower with and he would shower in an Under Armour shirt, but nothing else. So this like skin tight body shirt and nothing else. And I never noticed this because when I'm showering, I'm like focused, not paying attention. But I remember my company commander came in and he was like, dude, I just felt violated. So what are you talking about? He's like, this guy is just like staring at my cock the whole time we're showering. Like we're trying to have for whatever reason, we're having a conversation and he's just, and the guy's married and whatever. I don't think it was anything. Well, maybe it was subliminal, but it definitely wasn't like on purpose or he was hitting on him. At least I don't think so. But that was this thing that we would like always joke about. Like he'd be the S3 officer would walk by and be like, hide your nuts.
Oh my God. He's Winnie the Poohing it in the shower.
Yeah.
Dear God.
What would prompt you to wear just a shirt?
I have no idea.
That's awesome.
Maybe he was just washing it. Maybe he was just being
efficient. There you go.
Jesus. Oh my God.
Yeah, but officers are weird too, I guess.
Well, it's so funny because I know exactly what you're talking about. Those heads that are out there and the inevitable like walk back to the hooch and your feet get fucking filthy. You know what I'm talking about? You're in your fucking shower shoes in the middle of the night. Yeah.
You like take one step and you fall 1 feet into the sand, and then after a month there, you're just like, just send me wherever.
Yep. Dude, Camp Wilson sucks. When we were stationed there, and they still made us forward deploy out to Camp Wilson.
Oh, dude, I was like, we have to live here. Just give us this. Give us this one thing, please.
Oh my God.
Nope.
You know, the reason why is probably it was just easier paperwork-wise somewhere high up in the Marine Corps to be like, well, if these guys are going to fit in the rotation with everybody else, we have to just plug them in as forward deployed. I know they're there, but it works for our spreadsheet if we move it from this box over to this box.
Well, I got two excuses out of this one, so to speak. One of them's a good fucking reason. Somebody in another unit, I can't remember which one, got an alcohol-related incident during Mojave Viper while they're a home unit, right? So during Mojave Viper, they get an alcohol-related incident on like a weekend liberty. And then they were like, meh, all home units are going to wind up forward deploying out to Camp Wilson.
Okay.
So now
nobody's going home.
So, right, exactly. So no one's going home, fucking never. Now, the other reason, which makes total, complete sense, is the training schedule as a whole, which is you're forward deployed, just treat it as your fob, and bounce out of there, into the different training areas. So, I don't know the last time you were out there, but out near Hidalgo, they built like a whole bunch of other mout towns. So it's not just 200 and 215 and all the other stuff that's out there on the backside near Amboy. They also do 360 live fire out near Hidalgo, and a couple of the other, like Delta Prospects got one or two, and then they've got still the Tank Hawks at the back, at least the last time I was out there.
Well, that's cool. I mean, there's one thing I got to say about it. I mean, that place is a great training area. You can pretty much do whatever.
Oh, yeah.
Except to the desert tortoises.
Oh my God! Oh,
like no, that was like the one thing that was always briefed.
There is a $200,000 fine and 15 years in the freaking.
If they peed, because they can't pee, because then they can't sustain their fucking fluid in their body.
About that.
Jesus!
It's like, what kind of self-defense mechanism is that? I'm gonna kill myself.
Well, it's working. They got the whole Marine Corps protecting him now.
Right.
Oh my God. Dude,
they probably realized like this is working. We're still surviving. We need to keep doing this.
I watched a dog handler give a desert tortoise water. As like, no joke, we were out there, we were doing a movement, whatever. Saw a couple of Humvees off in the desert, off by like range 19 out near the tank trail. Jocelyn, you know what I'm talking about? And what are you guys doing? Desert tortoise. Okay. So what the fuck are you doing? Like there's 932 square miles of desert go around. Well, we got to make sure it's okay. No, what? No, you don't. What are you talking about? Did you call it into what? Baramat? Did you call it into Baramat? Did you throw a GPS tracker on it? Are you good? The guy's like, no, man, it peed. Oh, okay.
Run.
So who's the Lance Corporal that's taking a ninja punch, right? Like, what?
Like,
what's going on?
Dig
right,
a hole and run the fuck away.
Drive away. So this dog handler, no shit, has a collapsible bowl out in front of this tortoise, giving it water. And so the tortoise couldn't lift its head over the edge of the bowl in order to drink the water. So he scooped out the sand and put the bowl in it, hence making a little pond for said tortoise to drink. It was awesome, man. Let me tell you
the things you do, the things you end up getting to do. They tell you get to see the world and do some cool stuff, and you do.
Yeah.
You just don't expect to be feeding like endangered animals in the desert.
Right. That shit wasn't on the commercial.
No.
I wanted to slay a dragon with an NCO sword. You know?
I thought we were going to climb mountains.
Exactly. Fuck. What the hell?
Yeah, we did climb mountains.
We did climb mountains.
Did walk.
We
did walk a lot.
We did walk a lot. Yo, I'm sorry. What unit were you with again? I forget.
So when I was at on the East Coast, I was with CLR 27, MP company there. Now they have MP battalions, but I was MP company there. When I deployed, I was with 2nd Supply Battalion. We were a security company. And then for my last tour, I was at Recruit Depot in San Diego. So I was a series commander and company commander out there.
Oh, snap.
Yet.
Captain Byron Chen. Commanding.
It sounds weird when you say that now.
I know, right? It's cool, though. It's weird. Yeah.
So what's transition like on the officer side? Is it the world is your oyster because you have a degree already and then jobs are thrown at you, or what? How does that go?
I mean, I would say yes and no. I mean, there are a lot of opportunities out there. If you want to go to a good graduate school, I think there's a really good chance. But so when people ask me this in the civilian world, I usually tell them, it's difficult. That's why I started the website and the podcast. But to be completely honest, it fucking sucks. It really is a hard transition because, and it's the same issues that I think hits all veterans. I mean, you guys can tell me if I'm speaking your language here, but one of the big things is you're really misunderstood, or at least that's the way I felt. Like if I was a leader in the Marine Corps, it doesn't really matter unless you described it to your civilian counterpart as a project manager. It didn't matter if you had to, speak with senior commanders about a whole ton of issues and you had all this responsibility. You had to explain it to people that you were consulting and working in cross-functional teams, which when you're first trying to do this, when you get out, like you have no idea what any of these things mean. And it really feels like you're cheapening all your accomplishments and all your experience and skills. And you really have to humble yourself and get over the fact that, hey, people don't understand, anything about what you did in the military. You kind of have to let that go and learn this whole new language. And there's a lot of there are a lot of things out there about hiring veterans and things like that. But I've got some mentors in the corporate side, and a lot of times those things are just marketing ploys, right? Like Walmart, yes, is going to go hire 20,000 veterans, but does it really help if they're all going to be Walmart greeters? Like that is an awesome job. I would love to do that when I'm retired, but that is not exactly something that you want to give to a sergeant or a captain coming out of the Marine Corps who's been in charge of millions of dollars in equipment, has been in charge of people's lives, to all of a sudden that's the best that they can offer. So yeah, it wasn't easy, but you learn pretty quickly, and you learn that you definitely have a lot of skills that translate. You just have to use civilian speak and go with that. But everything that I fall back on as far as leadership, management, even in sales, was really what I learned from the military.
No, that's it. It's funny how that resonates. That actually is a lot of, how do I put it? I don't want to say the side mission. That's adjacent to what we are looking to focus on here. Not necessarily entrepreneurship, but how a lot of the skill set applies over.
Oh, definitely.
I mean, so are you yourself, how do I put this? Cigars and Sea Stories is proud to support and sling Counter-Strike coffee. Counter-Strike coffee, I want you to know, is meant to be drink black. Now, I myself love coffee. I'm a big coffee drinker. I went away from black coffee for a little while. Needed the cream and sugar when I was rocking it with the generic blend. Counter-Strike coffee brought me back into the fold in a huge, huge way. They do a great dark roast. I'm a big fan of napalm. That's my fave. Smooth operator is good, though. It can go with cakes and pies, and I got a bit of a sweet tooth. I know a couple of us do, And then also Firewatch. I mean, Firewatch, that's going to be the kick in the ass that you need in order to get your day going the right way. You know what I'm saying? If you haven't already done so, check out counterstrikecoffee.com. Use promo code Cigars and Sea. You will get 10% off. Again, that's counterstrikecoffee.com. Use promo code Cigars and Sea to get yourself 10% off. Do you consider yourself an entrepreneur? Or, how do you work in your daily life?
At this point, I would say I'm a struggling entrepreneur, or maybe struggling is not the right. I don't want to say aspiring because it almost sounds like I'm not trying. I'm trying to build the life that I want. So maybe that's not even in a ways that doesn't even necessarily have to be entrepreneurship. Like if I found a job that allowed me to work the way I want to work. Then I would definitely do that. But I think the lifestyle that I'm trying to build definitely lends itself to being an entrepreneur. And honestly, after leaving the military, I'm probably not the best employee. Because there have been times when I've in my corporate career, because I did med sales for about a year and a half after the military, speak up about certain things where I felt were morality or ethical issues. Right. I was in med sales, and there are times where I was like, this line is a little bit blurred, and that wasn't looked favorably upon always. I wouldn't say they didn't address it, but it definitely, I was kind of shocked. Like, oh, okay, I guess I shouldn't just bring up issues like this. So I mean, I just kind of like to either I want to work with people I want to work with, people that I trust, and I want to be able to do work that I find purposeful. And I'm sure there's a company out there that I could work for to do that. But honestly, right now, the path through entrepreneurship, I think, is much easier. I get to do things like talk with you guys on this podcast, which is awesome. I get to help veterans. That's what my podcast, my blog is about. The book that I'm writing is to help veterans. So I'm helping the people I want to help. I get to hang out with the people that I want to hang out with. It's not the six-figure salary lifestyle that I would want it to be, but as a Marine, money's not really that important. It's something I see as a marker of success, and I'm definitely trying to work towards. Mm-hmm. But I will say this: right now, I'm definitely working a lot of things, making money at some, not making money at others, and it's a struggle. But I am much happier waking up every day than when I did at my corporate job. And this isn't to bash the corporate world or my previous company. It's just that, at the end of the day, you really. When you leave the Marine Corps, when you were in the Marine Corps, you do something that is very purposeful, and all that shit that you put up with, you're okay with because you get to be a Marine and you get to be around Marines. Now, at some point that gets old and you need to move on. But when you move on, money and status doesn't replace those things. Like I think for a lot of veterans, you still have to find work that's purposeful, and you still have to figure out what is important to you in life, and that's how you have to construct your life. So I think. For me, at this point, that's what I'm working towards. So not there yet, but yeah, semi-entrepreneur.
Well, see, that is that is what is resonating among veterans around the nation, and really, we are at the front edge of this wave, and it's just starting because so many of us are getting out, and it's like you're a Marine, for crying out loud, and then you get out, and it's sort of like the Marine Corps because there's always structure involved, but it really fucking sucks because this or that corporate job just ends up being like, wow, that's a lot of fucking paperwork.
Yeah.
And it's a lot of red tape, and it's like, why can't we just get shit done? And then you realize at some point, well, I could just work with my buddies. I could just start a team and actually do something. Well, what do I want to do? Well, I have this or this passion that I can spend hours on. Might as well build a business around that. Hey guys, you want to do this? Fuck yeah. All right. Let's roll. Like, that's literally the new way to survive in this world is just to go, because
definitely.
That dream is dead of just being in a cubicle all day. At least for us, like we saw past that and went into the Marine Corps, and I don't think stepping back into a sheepskin is going to work. We're sheepdogs.
No, definitely not. And it's not to say that obviously the Marine Corps is not a perfect organization, and maybe when we're leaving, we seem to think like everything runs more efficiently on the civilian side, and that's definitely not true. The way I compare it is, at the end of the day, that the military taught you that you want to work with A players, right? So you expect that when you go on into the corporate side or small business side or whatever. Absolutely. So, but a lot of businesses, even Fortune 500 companies, aren't built on A players, right? Like maybe some top companies out there right now. There are a lot of companies out there that they're surviving because they're so large and they have so much market dominance that they really just need enough people to keep the ship going, right? So they're not you go into a company like that and you're not motivated. You're not working in a team that supports one another. You're not incentivized to be innovative. You're just trying to keep the money rolling for the shareholders at that point. Yep. So yeah, I think you can definitely find purposeful work. You can definitely find awesome companies to work with. Both, being an entrepreneur and having a kick-ass career requires a lot of work. Like, you're just not going to find the perfect job, the first one you take, or most people don't. The first one you take when you get out. So it's work or it's work. I think it's just important to get clear on what it exactly it is that you want. So for me, I right now I think it might be even a mix of employment and entrepreneurship. Like, I am working with a company on the side to help sell software, and they have given me pretty much free reign to do what I want. And these are a couple great motivating guys, like in their early 20s. Like, I'm surprised at some of the stuff that they've done, and it's motivating to me to get some of their guidance, but also that they allow me the freedom to just go and make stuff happen. And that is a job that I'm pursuing, and I don't know if that'll end up being a career, but it's definitely something that I'm doing along with the entrepreneurship thing. So trying a little bit of everything to learn and refine what I'm trying to do in my life.
Okay. Now, are you doing that as like freelance, as a 1099?
Yeah, pretty much.
Now, this goes hand in hand with your book. Do you want to talk a little bit about that also? Because this is really important stuff. I mean, this is stuff that a lot of veterans struggle with, to be honest with you.
Yeah, so which aspect? I mean, the book is, it's called Barracks to Boardrooms. It's a salary negotiation guide for veterans. I'm no expert, but I've been negotiating and bargaining since I was a kid. I've got an Asian heritage. I feel like it's in my family's blood. But also, it's one of the things I learned as soon as I got out. Like, one of the things I like to do is really break down, all right, how can I hack my way into a job, or how can I hack my way into doing well in my career? So when I was in my corporate career, I noticed, I was getting paid less than some of my peers. And there were a bunch of veterans at the job, and we talked about it, and we figured out it had nothing to do with technical ability, because honestly, all of us that were newly hired were just as, if not, well, let's just say just as. I mean, I'm not gonna say we were more competent, but we were definitely, on par with a lot of people that had been there for years. But we definitely weren't paid as much. And it wasn't until we started to negotiate our salaries that we saw a huge jump. Like, the company never came to us and said, "Hey, you're doing a good job. Let's give you more money." Like, no company is ever going to do that. Right. And in fact, I think coming out of the military, we're almost too trusting. I remember another buddy I helped recently, and he went through an interview with his big bank, and it went great. And he explained to them his situation about his family and how he was moving for this company. He was expecting to get a pretty good offer, and they lowballed him. And he was like, what the hell? Like, I just went through 3 months of this interview and, opened up the kimono and told you everything about what I'm going to be leaving for my previous job, and you lowballed me. Well, he countered. I consulted with him a little bit, told him what he should say. He countered, and they complied immediately. They pretty much were like, "Oh yeah, if you're the 1 person out of 10 who's going to try and negotiate with us, we'll give you more in your bonus and more in your salary straight up front." So salary negotiation is something that I've found that veterans are bad at, but also just about every employee out there. So it's something that I was getting a lot of questions about, and I felt like I should put together a guide, and that's the book that's coming out this January.
Very cool. Very cool. Absolutely. We're going to have to share some links to that bad boy as it comes out, and have you back on the show when it does, so that way we can highlight it, man. That's awesome. Well, because I'm just telling you right now, I've fallen victim to it. I know exactly what you're talking about. I can tell you that I was guilty as charged. I always say sometimes we're honest to our own detriment, and we're overly trusting.
Yep. And I hate to be the guy who has to say, hey, you need to watch out and be wary and skeptical of everyone. But, you learned that in the Marine Corps too. Like, right. Trust but verify, right?
Right, exactly.
So would you say most of this audience is entrepreneurs?
I would say most of this audience wants to hang out and share sea stories and is divergent.
Okay.
And that happens to lend itself to entrepreneurship.
Okay.
But I got to say, and our audience knows this also, our goal is to break World War II entrepreneurial numbers. It was 49% post-World War II. I want to see it go 51%.
Yeah.
I want the majority of us to go that way.
Can I talk a little bit about, I guess, the inspiration and the process for the book? Because I think it'll be helpful for people that are thinking about it.
By all means, yeah.
Yeah, I went to write the book not because I think I'm Hemingway or I had a great American novel. Partly because I thought it would help other veterans. It was a question that came up frequently. And also partly because it's nowadays you can self-publish with pretty much zero money down. So if you have something that you think will help others and provide value, you can test the waters, put it up on Amazon, even get the paperback version available, give the paperback version available to people at no cost to you. So everything they say about lean startup and testing your market, you can do these days very easily. And if the inspiration captures you to write a book, you can and I think you should go and write that book. Like if this book launches and nobody reads it, like I'm not gonna feel bad. Like I went for it, and this is a test. This will be my first one. This will be something that as an entrepreneur, I'm gonna see how it goes, and if it goes well, maybe I'll do more. But it also meets some of my other interests, right? Like I want to help veterans, and it may provide passive income, as in, hey, once I write this book, other than some ongoing marketing, it will hopefully make money for me each month as it grows or as I send people to the website and they see it. So this is something that could definitely develop into a side business, right? So for people out there that are going to their day jobs, don't think that you can't pursue something like this on the side. There's a group that I'm in of a bunch of other writers, and a lot of them are doing this on the side. And then if you want to do something in business, or if you want to write a book or something like that, and you have no idea where to start, I'll tell you, I was that way back in January when I left my job. I left my job and I said, I'm going to travel and I'm going to figure out how I'm going to write this book. I have no idea what I'm going to write it about. The reason I picked salary negotiation is not because I'm an expert on salary negotiation, but because the blog posts the articles on my blog, the most popular one, the podcast on my blog, the most popular one, were all about salary negotiation. So I had a little bit of product market fit there. Like I realized the audience wanted to hear more about salary negotiation, and I could be the one to do the research, test some of the strategies, and put that into a methodology that they can then go and take action on. So if you have an idea, go and test it out that way. Throw out some articles or ask people to see if they'd pay you for your project or something like that, and go for it on the cheap.
And how much they would pay you.
Yeah, exactly.
Right, yeah.
I'd love to see more people try more things, because I think that's the only way you figure out, what is it do you actually want to do.
I think it's interesting also because a lot of times folks don't realize that they can be their own boss and not necessarily start a whole big company.
Yeah.
And that's more along the lines of the contracting route, the ability to negotiate, just as like what you're talking about, your deliverables and the big bag of money that you expect in return.
Yeah.
So I mean that strikes a nerve because a lot of folks who are leaving the military, they don't necessarily know that they have the ability to freelance a lot of their skills. And the vast majority of them, I will say on the enlisted side coming out, they might not have an immediate carryover 1099 contractor, skill that they can jump into, unless, of course, they had a hobby and then use the discipline. Let's say, for instance, you did photography when you were in the Marine Corps. When you get out, you have the ability to carry that into a career, and then be fucking Peter Parker. So, yeah. I mean, a lot of people don't realize that that's a legitimate career path.
No, they don't. They definitely don't talk about it in transition classes.
Right.
Right. You get like an hour from, I don't know, some guy from the labor department talking about putting resumes together. I mean, it's a joke.
Well, I mean, I think there's something to be said also about veterans having done some stuff that's a little bit different of a perspective on life and coming back and actually wanting to live lives of substance, And it's hard to find that path, especially when there's this immediate need to survive. A lot of people have been sort of simmering, the water slowly boiling, so to speak, and then suddenly they're out and doing their stuff after college. But, we get out and it's just like immediate survival. It's not like that momentary, break to kind of find yourself.
Definitely. And I mean, if there's one suggestion that I could make for the audience who's transitioning, it would be to get your financial house in order. Like that, I think, allows you the freedom to do some of these things. So, I mean, I saved a ton while I was in. I mean, well, I was also single and had no kids, but all the deployment money and things like that I saved. Tried to invest wisely, and that is definitely giving me the ability to test some of the things that I'm doing now. Like I can be a struggling writer because of the money that I've saved and invested. So I don't think people in entrepreneurship or transitioning talk about it enough. But if you discipline yourself and think of that first, because that's the foundation for everything. I mean, let's face it, everybody has responsibilities, and if you don't have the money to pay those responsibilities, that you can't really do what you want. And that lifestyle is really sexy, but I mean, I think it just starts at making sure that you have the resources available to you. So start there, and then start playing with the house money that you have to find the things that you want to do.
No, it's good advice. Yeah. Yeah, if you can stay single, stay an officer, wear rubber, never get drunk and go down to Tijuana. What?
Yeah. I mean, you should live your life as well. You should enjoy it.
What, you don't like having fun?
Yeah, just budget for it, The $100 a month when you go down to Tijuana.
Right, exactly. Adelitas, por favor. What? Allegedly. So Byron Chen of Success Vets. What is Success Vets?
What is Success Vets?
Yep.
To me, it's finding success in life and career after the military, regardless of whether it's a specific job or it's entrepreneurship. It's the things that you need to learn to build a successful life. So knowing how to network, knowing how to interview well, knowing how to connect with people, knowing how to find a job if you need it. It's almost more important to figure out how to go through that interview process than to have the skills for that job. Like if you're a good bullshitter, and I'm not saying that it's all bullshit, but if you're a good bullshitter, you can do pretty well in the corporate world. And it's unfortunate that we don't teach people that these are skills like personal finance, investing, networking, interviewing are just as important as, I don't know, having a college degree. Because honestly, I got a lot of buddies with college degrees that aren't doing so great either because they don't have the rest of these skills. That's what makes you a success vet.
No, that's great. That's fantastic. Especially because it is hitting actionable items on the transition list.
Yeah.
Tangible toolbox items that people can directly apply in a kinesthetic way out in the job market, and that is fantastic because a lot of guys, when they're transitioning out, they just don't necessarily understand that, how do we put it? Not to steal the phrase bullshitting, but schmoozing. That's
a good way to put it. I mean, connecting with people, building relationships, adding value. I mean, I'm trying not to preach too much because this stuff gets me worked up, and I don't want to feel like, hey, this is what you have to do. Because I mean, you have to go through your learning process to figure it out. But I'm like, when I see it, I'm like, oh, I feel like if people have been teaching me the wrong things for 20, 25 years, like, hey, go to school, go get a job, and be nice to the people around you, and you'll be fine. And that's not the way it is anymore. Like you guys are saying, those are not the skills. Being able to work as a drone are not the skills that are going to allow people to succeed nowadays, right? Like your job, I have a friend of mine who's another veteran who does Facebook marketing, right? He works on his own. Anyway, that's not important. But he's got a couple virtual assistants. One is from the Philippines. She's got a master's in English, and she writes all the articles for him that he posts. He's got another guy from Israel who's like a mechanical engineer, but also a graphic designer doing all of his pictures and stuff like that. And they both get paid between $5 and $10 an hour. So in my mind, if that's what you're competing against, you have no chance, right? Like your job is outsourced pretty much automatically if that's what's available out there. So what is it that you have to provide? Well, coming from the military, it's the fact that you can solve problems under pressure. It's the fact that you can innovate. It's the fact that you can get shit done, because a lot of people have skills, but they can't figure out how to put that together to achieve a goal. Right. And that doesn't matter if you're an entrepreneur or you're in a career. Those are the skills that are going to keep you employable or keep you, making money. It's just figuring out how to translate that and figuring out your niche so that you can make that happen.
Yeah. No, well said. Well said. It's funny because a lot of guys, when they're walking out, they go, hey, how'd you figure out how to do business plans and stuff like that? And honestly, it's a 5-paragraph order. And they're like, well, like, for real? Either A, that's cheesy, B, that's motard, C, that's, like, really, that's it? That it's that simple? And I'm like, well,
D, it's all the above.
Right, exactly. There you go. And I'm like, look, man, I'm no rocket surgeon here. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know how to run a fist team up on the hill, but I know how to lead a patrol and do it successfully. So,
while wearing a onesie.
There you go. While wearing a onesie.
I saw that post.
Fuck yes. I am rocking the shit out of this onesie right now. I usually kick it when I'm snowboarding, but it just, the mood struck. Well, it's a crisp fall evening. We should set the tone. It's a crisp fall evening. The air is dry, and I was fresh out of the shower, right? And I was like, you know what? I'm feeling snuggly. I'm going to throw on my man onesie, rock it with my beard. That's what it's all about. There you go. I'm a grown-ass man, people. But my counterpart over here, my comrade in arms, suggested that I needed to get the footsie style onesie.
Well, if you're going to rock it, I mean, you got to do 100%. So it's got a hood. It's got a hood, but no shoes.
It's got a bitchin' hood. Man. It doesn't have that.
And it doesn't even, you need the ass flap, too. It needs the button.
I chose not to go with the tanker model on the onesie. But it's got, here we go. Let's see if we can do it here. It's got there it is. Well, that's solid. That's solid zippage right there. So it's got the crotch zipper in case of emergency, negotiations on the side of a snow hill, but no ass flap. So yeah, it's pretty hardcore onesie. It's got 4 pockets on this mother trucker, hip and belly.
Is that for sale on the Cigars and Sea Stories website?
No, Jesus God. There you go. I'm not one for swag, but maybe we could get CNS onesies.
You know what? I would actually be willing to bet that would sell like hotcakes. We need to make Cigars and Sea Stories onesies. No
Tactical
joke.
onesies.
Tactical Cigars and Sea Stories onesies.
Put stirrups on this mother trucker so that I can slang lead in true onesie fashion. This thing, first of all, is Nordic as fuck. I'm pretty sure it came from Europe. It's got, the Danish flag on it?
I think so.
Something like that. I don't know. Whatever. It looks like I'm going to an ugly sweater party for, children who are having a sleepover. But it's pretty kick-ass.
It'd be my cigar smoking onesie.
Hell yes. Hell yes. We could knit each other sweaters in a cabin in Vermont. Grow handlebar mustaches. Byron Chen. Success vets. That's a successful transition. Onesies, handlebar mustaches, knitting each other's sweaters, cabin in Vermont. Nailed it.
Pretty much the dream.
Fucking Bernie Sanders, eat your heart out. You know what I mean? No. My brain. I've been up for a while. Oh, good Lord. So, can folks find you on successvets.com?
Yeah, that's pretty much my transition resource website. If they're looking to find out more about the book, they can go to successvets.com/book. Really simple there. They can sign up because when it launches January 11th, I'll remind everybody because they can download it for free on Amazon. And I'm on Twitter @SuccessVets, or you can email me, Byron@successvets.com.
Right on.
Hell yes. And we're going to share those links on the description. And we'll make sure to throw in your bio as well on there as far as our show description is concerned.
You're really like an adjacent unit out there, so anything we can do, anything we can get in front of our audience you need as well, just hit us up anytime, man.
I was going to say, what else does your audience want to hear? Because I feel like I pretty much told a terrible and offensive deployment story, 2 of them actually, and went off my rant about transitioning. And really, I just want to help other veterans. So, what is it that people want to hear or need help with? I don't know, I guess before I sign off.
Well, that's just it. Really what my goal is every time, I hope that in someone's mind that they're thinking like, man, I just really want to do this. Or I just have always thought about like taking the reins and just going for it. And you know what? It's time to nut up.
Yeah,
it's time to nut up and do it because life can be good. You just gotta grab them. You gotta squeeze them hard and go for it. And then you can make whatever it is happen. We've all stepped through the threshold and kicked through doors. You were expecting to be able to die when you did that. Now you come back and transition. Expect to live. Take every day as if it's not for granted.
That's awesome, man. That's motivating. That's motivating to me. Like sometimes I'm like, man, I live a pretty cushy lifestyle, just being the quote unquote struggling writer. Like it's not bad. I go to a coffee shop and type away. But that makes me motivated to help a lot more people, which I hope to do with my writing and my website and stuff. But to go along with that, there are a lot of veterans doing a lot of badass shit. I am by no means, once again, a badass, but there are guys that are writing books, they're publishing, they're acting, producing, they're building stuff like this. They're entrepreneurs, or they're kick-ass executives at companies. They're applying to schools, especially on the enlisted side. I definitely want to throw this out there. On the enlisted side, if you're thinking about applying to school, apply to a top school. Look at Service to Schools. That's an organization that's helping service members with their resumes and their applications. Because honestly, a lot of these places want you. You are seen as a top commodity, the talent, and they love the GI Bill money. Let's face it. So you can get into a lot of these top schools. Do it. Go and rock those classes. Like there are a lot of gatekeepers here and in the military, But once you get past those gatekeepers, that's your time to shine. So there are a lot of people out there trying to help you get past those gatekeepers. I'm one of them, but there are a whole slew of other veterans out there doing that. Go find those guys, have them help you get past the gatekeepers, and then go kick ass for the rest of us.
Oh, yes. Well said.
Hell yeah.
No, I enjoy it. No, and that's nice also because one of the things that I like highlighting as far as what you're doing here, Byron Chen, is you seem like a pretty approachable guy. I want to sit down and share sea stories with you. You know, which is another huge thing coming out of here. Last time I checked, you don't have a superpower or anything like that, right?
No.
I mean,
no.
You're just Jack Kerouacking it up down there in Big Sur. No?
You're
Not
right,
at all? You haven't gotten, drunk in the hills and wandered off? No?
No.
Fuck. You owe it to yourself. You owe it to yourself.
Not in winter, though. Wait till spring.
I have been camping out here and checked out Yosemite and Yellowstone. That's the other thing I would say. If you can't figure out what you want to do yet, just go and travel. This country is amazing. I just road tripped for about a month with my dog in my hatchback Mazda, right? Like I just needed a trunk full of some stuff and dog food, and got to see all across the country. And because you're leaving the military, you got buddies everywhere. Got to crash on a bunch of couches, and it was awesome. I mean, it definitely helped me reset and rethink, and just be really grateful for what I have and the friends and the camaraderie and my family, and then help me figure out what exactly is meaningful to me. So definitely do that if you can't figure shit out. Go travel.
Look at that. Loads of advice from Byron Chen, a success vets. Hell yeah, brother. I really appreciate you coming in, sharing Cigars and Sea Stories with us.
Yeah, it's good to know we got a unit out on the West Coast doing good kick-ass work out there, man.
Trying. I appreciate you guys saying that, but really, I mean, thank you guys for putting on this show and having me on and really just building up the community. I mean, you guys are doing a lot. You guys are a force multiplier. I'll leave it at that.
Nice.
We appreciate that.
Good
we
verbiage.
Appreciate that a lot.
Yeah. Very much so. Well, if you haven't already done so, folks, subscribe to us on iTunes, Stitcher Radio, or Player FM. Go ahead, give us a rating or review. Your comments make the show. We're not up there on new and noteworthy yet, I don't think. I don't know. Did you check? Are we up on there?
No, not yet.
We got to check that. I don't know. A lot of those iTunes subscribers out there love to see us get bumped up on the ratings. Please come on now. We would love to get some love from you out there. But check out successvets.com. Check out Captain Byron Chen. You like that? Captain.
Oh,
I had to throw it in there for you. Fellow
Just
Marine.
call me Byron.
There you go. Just call me Byron. I like it. Fellow Marine, awesome sharing Cigars and Sea Stories with you. And you're welcome back anytime, man.
Hey, thanks. And you guys are welcome on my show anytime.
Hey, I appreciate that. Maybe I'll comb out the beard and come on there looking like a fucking, I don't know, pirate or some shit.
I'll do a special video episode just so you can wear the onesie and comb out your beard.
Oh.
While wearing a Viking tricorn hat.
There you go. Wow.
I mean, this is the internet. We could do whatever we want. We'll have to smoke cigars and drink scotch, too.
Future me in the editing room. Cue the music.